Good afternoon, everyone. I need to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodian of the land and pay my respects to their elder, past, and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Then I pay my respect to all the fallen heroes from the Spring Revolution in Myanmar. I also thank AMI seminar presenter, His Excellency Professor Dr. Zaw Wai Soe, our commentator, Professor Joe Lobianco. I really appreciate all the participants from different parts of the world to join AMI seminar today. Our AMI member, Paul Commissara, will open the meeting. Paul, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Maggie, and welcome everyone. And I should say that I'm standing in for Chris Lamb, who unfortunately is unwell, and he sends his very best regards to everyone. It's my very great honour to introduce our two distinguished guests today. We're going to have two talks. And so I'll introduce both speakers now, and then we'll go straight on to the talks. The first speaker is the very distinguished guest, the National Unity Government Minister for Health and Education, His Excellency Professor Zaw Wai Soe. Professor Zaw Wai Soe is the Minister for Education and Health in Myanmar's National Unity Government. He's an orthopaedic surgeon and has a long and distinguished career in both health and education. And in responsibility for the issues, his responsibilities encompass both areas of education and healthcare. And he's going to be focusing especially on the education portfolio today. He was formerly Rector of the University of Medicine 1 and then Chair of the Myanmar Rectors Committee until the military seized power in February 2021. He was the main task force leader for reforming 16 medical-related universities in Myanmar. And in 2020, he played a leading role in Yangon's COVID-19 fight and became the Vice Chair of the Yangon Region COVID-19 Contain, Control and Treating Coordination Committee. On the 10th of February 2021, in the aftermath of the coup d'etat, he was detained for 2 hours and questioned about his role in the movement. Our other speaker today is our own Emeritus Professor Joe Lobianco, who's a Professor Emeritus in Language and Literacy Education at the University of Melbourne. Joe's an inaugural member and Secretary of the Australian Myanmar Institute and has many years of experience in Myanmar. He's worked for UNICEF and has designed the UNICEF Language, Education and Social Cohesion Initiative in Malaysia, Myanmar and Thailand, which resulted in several advances for ethnic rights in the countries and extended to the preparation of peace building and national language policies in the University of Mandalay in 2016. The proceedings today will move directly to Professor Zaw Wai Soe, who will speak for about 15 minutes, and then Joe Lobianco will speak for about 10 minutes, following which we'll open up the discussion. So if you have any questions or comments, I ask you to put them in the group chat, and we'll hopefully have a robust conversation after the two speakers. So Professor Zaw Wai Soe, thank you so much. We're very deeply honoured to have you with us today, and we're looking forward to you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, Paul, and then Professor Joe, and I don't know the name, and then Chris, and Raymond, and then all these participants online and then in person. You know, it's an honor, and also for me this is the, I mean, for Myanmar, this is the opportunity for us to share with you our current situation in Myanmar, and then also to get support from our colleagues from the AMI for the, education, and then also future development of the Myanmar. And actually, I have a PowerPoint presentation, but I'm not going to present. And then I will share with you, and then you can look at in the PowerPoint. The first PowerPoint, I explained the current, revolution, 2021, first February, there's a military coup. This is the fourth time military coup in Myanmar. And then we have a military coup in the 1959, 1958, and 62, and 88, and 2021. And then also in Myanmar, before the independence from the British, we are British colony. And then, 1947, we have a Finland agreement. I don't know, you know about that. And before getting independence from the British, our ethnic leaders, I think you all know, our country is very much diverse country. 135 tribes and 100 dialects. Actually, now they said 137. Also this is I think Joe will explain all these things because, and then also, 100 dialects. And also this is one issue in the education as well. And that diversity, because of that diversity, our leader and then Father Aung San Suu Kyi, I think Aung San, agreed to have in Finland agreement. They said federal democracy country. This is the country type of the country and system what they want from all the ethnic people in Myanmar. But that never happened because of the military and because of the socialists, and then majority Burma group, and then they would like to take all these things. That is our situation. And in the 1988, that's mainly the people. Actually, in Myanmar, people, they ask for the democracy because of the democracy icon Aung San Suu Kyi, and we know about the we knew before, we don't know. And then 88, we learn democracy, and then we ask for the democracy, we fight for democracy. At that time, 3,000 people, they lost, they killed about 3,000 people in the 88, and then many activists and then people from the, came up from Myanmar and then spread out in all over the world. And then they are, developed and working in the, as a diaspora around Myanmar. And that's 1988. In 2021, actually in this time, we fight for, one is federalism, and then second one is democracy, and third one is justice. And that's why we have a three-finger symbol. There's one, federalism, two, democracy, and three, justice, that we are fighting for. And with that, actually now, because of that three objectives are the objectives of all the people of Myanmar and all the ethnic, organization, ethnic revolutionary groups of the Myanmar, including the Rohingya. We all are united with that three objectives, and no one not refuse to have it. That's why we all are united, and that we are fighting with the military. In this time, I think maybe you all know, in previous coup 1, coup 2, coup 3, they control country within the 1 or 2 months time. They control everything, they control. But this time, even now 2.5 years, or actually today is 965 days of our revolution. Even now, they cannot control the country, and they cannot. Even they are failing. I think maybe you already know, now we control about 50–60% of the territory area. Population-wise, I think we control about 50% of the population from our side. We started with the peaceful protests, and then now we have to defend ourselves because they kill us. And altogether, 4,138 people were killed until yesterday. And then, regarding with the healthcare, because I'm from the, healthcare, 90 doctors, nurses, and the healthcare workers were killed. The day before yesterday, they killed one of the midwife. She's taking care of the paraplegic patient in the one village. They raided the village, and then they burned the village, and they killed the people. At that time, the paraplegic patient and the midwife they killed. This is the last one they killed. And then altogether now 90 they killed. And then that's why we have to defend ourselves. That's why, we are doing started with non-violent. Now we are having a armed revolution. And then people defensive war we announced last 2 years ago. After 2 years, now we review and then we control. And then, of course, there's a conflict area and then a military control area. And this is the 3 area. I mean, now I will move to the education. In education, also we have 3 areas. One is a military control area. I mean, mainly they control the city. And area-wide, 17% they control. And then the population-wide, they control about 50% they control in the, city. And we control about 50% in the, ethnic area. And then also Sagain and Magui and some of the Bagu and the Nansari. That area we control, and we are giving the education, both basic education, higher education, and then Tibet vocational education, and then teacher education. Mainly 4 areas that we are doing, both on ground and online. But in control area, we giving on ground. That's why we have 5,000 on ground school we have, and also we already started some of the ethnic area. We already started the higher education program, like Comprehensive University of Kachin. Actually, in my slide, the Kachin leader, General Guamo, he did the opening in the that Comprehensive University a year ago. And then also we have a medical school in the Kachin, and then medical school in Karani, we already. And then also nursing school in Karani, and then Kachin, and then now we are having it in Karen and then Chin. And this is this is the first time in Myanmar we never had that kind of higher education in the ethnic area. This is the first time that we have. I mean that we are having a federalism, and then self-determination in the ethnic area. And this is our education policy. And recently we have education. We developed the education policy, federal democracy education policy. Last 2-3 weeks ago, we have that the policy came up from the National Unity Consultative Council. In that, actually, this is like a parliament, elected person, and then the representative from the ethnic group, and the representative from the CDM, and then CBO-CSO. We all sitting together in the NUCC, and then that came up with the federal democracy education policy. I can share that document with you, and maybe you can see that document, and then based on that document, maybe you can give support or opinion or suggestion. And also, because Myanmar, we don't have experience in the federalism. I think in your country, you have a federal country, you are the federal country, and then you will have idea and then also experience, and that will be a lot helpful to us. And I think 15 minutes. Right, and then actually there's a lot of challenges, because we control ground, but we cannot control the air. And then because they get support, and then also they have a good, a relation ally with the bad people had a bad ally. I think Russian, they support the plane and fighter jet and the helicopters, And then as ammunition, actually, with that support, they control the air, but they cannot control the ground. On ground, because of the ethnic armed organization, ethnic revolutionary organization, because of this, spring revolution, they grow more than 10 times. Before in the ethnic group, they have about 30,000, but now they also grow 10 times, maybe 300,000 they grow. That's why they are stronger than, I think this is the strongest time for them. The same in the NUG, we have PDF, People Defensive Forces. And then altogether, we have 250,000. Actually, some of the PDF we cannot calculate, like people that, in each and every village that they have, but we don't know how many. And then that means a very strong situation. And then regarding with the people defensive program and defensive war, we are very strong. With that, actually, now we are controlling, but we cannot control the air. That's why we have to have each and every school, both basic and the higher education. We have to have a bomb-proof bunker, and where they can hide. Because now we have early warning system. Now we get some Stalin, and then to keep it, secret and low profile. And we have internet access, and then through that we get early warnings, and then we warn them, and then they can go and hide. Before, maybe 11th of April this year, actually primary school children, they are having an early breakfast, and then they bomb. That's why 38 primary school children, 5 to 10, 38, 5 to 10 years old, they were killed because of their bombing. And then after that, actually no more, because now we have a warning system, and then also bomb-proof bunker. And then the same, each and every hospital that I have 66 hospital where we can have now 69. We built 3 new hospitals, one in Karenni and one in Karen and one in Yakai area. And that 69 hospital, there where we can have surgery, and then we have to have also bomb-proof bunker. And then last 3 months ago, one of the junior orthopedic surgeon, he was operating in the one hospital, actually Stephen Hospital, 25-bedded hospital. He was operating, and then the helicopter gunship, they shoot and then bomb. And then they have to bring the patient down to the bunker and continue the surgery. That's how we are doing and what we are facing. And then that is our challenges. But I'm sure we will win because people support. And also, we are united now with the ethnic organization and ethnic groups. And also, we all agree to have a federalism and true federal and true democracy. We cannot act from the military. We cannot get from the military. We have to fight ourselves. We have to write ourselves. We have to practice ourselves. And then that is the, I think, thing. That's why I'm sure we will win. But I would like to request you to help us both, current situation and also planning for the future. Because, current situation, I think if you can help online, and then some of the material, teaching material, and then also curriculums and things, basic education, higher education, and then vocational education, and then, teachers education, based on the federal system. Before, we are very much centralized. I think you all know that, military and social is very much centralized. Most of the university are in Yangon and Mandalay. But now we need to develop the ethnic area. And then, principle with the federal principle, we have to. That's, I think, I would like to request you to help us. And also, I think, starting with the language, we need mother tongue education. Because different ethnic groups, And then they have to learn Myanmar language and English, and then they have a lot of problems because their father and mother are, talking other language. And then that's why, for the all these primary and secondary school children, they are not quite well with the, learning. And that's why I think that this is one of the areas that we focus. And then also I would like to request you, mother tongue education, I think how we have to develop that we need. And then also, because now country is poor, because they bomb and they destroy actually hospital, they destroy everything. Now we control the rural area and then station hospital and some of the township hospital. They destroy everything. They destroy even, operating instrument, they burn and then they crush. And then also X-ray machine, they take all the wire out and then they crush and, burn. That's, they are very much brutal. And then they are very much, inhumane. And then also war crime, they're doing that. And that's, we have to start all the hospital from the ground, zero. And that's why this is the area you can help. And then I'll be asking your second hand, you use material will be good for us. You know that. And also the country become poor, and then also parents are poor. Even myself, I think they burn my house, and then my family hiding, and then also they seize and they freeze all my account, and then parents are poor, and that's why in future the education we have to think of earning and learning together for the children. That means, I think, vocational education, skill training is very important, even starting from the secondary level or something like that. That's what I'm thinking. And then also future federal education, I would like to request you, please consider seriously, and then also please help us. Thank you so much. I will stop here. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Zaw Wai Soe. Our next speaker, as I said, is Professor Joe Lobianco. Thanks, Joe.
Good evening, everybody. It's an honor to come after you and to speak after you. Thank you very much for those very important comments. I have to start off with an embarrassing admission. I prepared a PowerPoint presentation for tonight, but I've lost my USB. So I remember more or less what I was going to say. So I'll go through the handout that I had about this, but I just want to say I'll stick to just 10 minutes or maybe even 12 minutes, but I want to say make some points about the question of reform in education and how very impressed I've been with the work that you and your colleagues have set up in relation to developing viable policies for when democracy is restored to the country. It's really extraordinary. I've never seen a process of civilian alternative government working so steadily and with really sophisticated use of social media and participation methods to build practical policies to eventually start running a society when it's restored to its democratic destiny. I just want to make some points about federalism, languages, ethnic communities, the education reform process that many of us have been involved in the last 12, 15 years in Myanmar. A lot of it taken forward by the United Nations, but with incredible capacity development and capability development, so that there is a whole, maybe not a generation, but a very large number of people who I could nominate and who are already very strongly supportive of the alternative government of the rightful democratic government of Myanmar, who have already prepared the policies and implemented them before the coup that Myanmar will need to reach the level that I think everyone believes it could have, which is as an Asian success story of the future. And I just want to mention some of the things that were done. So 5 years ago, the education sector was extremely robust. It's extraordinary to think about the number of things that were done. I'll just list some, and these are in my areas of language literacy, multilingualism, linguistic human rights, and what we critical awareness, educating children, but also young adults, not to be docile and accept authoritarian rule, but to be critical subjects and citizens. One of the aspirations of the curriculum review that the UN had set up and that was adopted and was being implemented. These are some of the reforms. The National Education Law, there were two versions of this, 2014 and 2015. The 2015 version was a significant improvement on the earlier one. It didn't go anywhere near as far as I think democratic aspirations of many people held for it, but it was still a big improvement. The Protection of the Rights of the National Races Law, 2015, from which the comprehensive university in Kachin State, a remote university in an ethnic area, which is a model for how the ethnics will want to operate in their higher education sector into the future. And that comes out of this experience. The Television and Radio Law of 2015, which also established broadcast rights in ethnic minority languages, in ethnic minority areas. We need to keep in mind that this isn't just around culture. This is agriculture, fisheries, health services, maternal care, child raising, all sorts of very, very critical information given across these media, which were not available before. And then the most important thing, the Comprehensive Education Sector Review, which was implemented for 5 years. Again, it fell short of the aspirations that many people had for it. It was already being prepared for a new iteration of another 5 years when we know what happened in February 2021. And so that has not proceeded. So this education reform agenda, not just in schools, but as the Minister said, in vocational education, technical education, higher education, because technical and vocational education are really critical in many parts, in the poorest parts of the country, because we can't imagine that large numbers of people are going to be able to go to university and higher education. And technical education is grossly under-supported all across the country. So these were all the things that happened, and there were many others as well, including provision for the first time of the Constitution recognized several constitutions, several versions of the Constitution have recognized the rights of ethnic minority people to their languages, one of their biggest grievances, but it has never been properly delivered, and it was just starting to be when the coup happened. So in retrospect, this was a window not just of opportunity, but of learning and of setting in place. And all of the people who prepared these things, local people working with consultants and outside people, are all active still and committed to these things. So the capacity basis for resuming this work is clearly there. However, we have to skip over some of these things. Implementation of these things requires a federal administrative structure. In fact, it's simply unimaginable that you could do any of this work from Naypyidaw. If you look at education delivery systems around the world, the majority of them, even in societies that are otherwise quite centralized, their education delivery is almost always much, much more decentralized. And that's because it just intuitively makes a lot of sense to people that education should be delivered close to the people. And Myanmar is a perfect candidate for this, and already the structures for doing this are in place. So I just want to say that we don't know that much of the performance of the system in the non-liberated areas since the coup, but some things we do know, and they're all terrible. And I'm going to tell you some of them. UNICEF just recently released, probably not an entirely comprehensive study of reading and mathematics in Myanmar schools, and we see very, very dramatic slide in the capability of students compared to their peers just 5 years earlier. I'll just read some of this. In Malaysia and Vietnam, the majority of grade 5 children have achieved the reading literacy skills expected of them at the end of primary school. In those two countries, a further 18 and 10% of children were in band 5 and were progressing to achieving the high level. These children have a solid basis in reading skills in their language of instruction and in their national language. In the case of Myanmar, of course, that's Burmese or Myanmar language. However, Cambodia, Lao PDR, and Myanmar in the Philippines, there was a much smaller or modest percentage, and in many areas, Myanmar went backwards. This is the Southeast Asia Primary Learning Metrics report released just recently. By 2020, Myanmar had almost caught up to Thailand in the level of its investment in education. In 2010, Myanmar's education expenditure was 1.6% of GDP. It's incredibly low investment in education at all levels. Higher education, I don't think it even included technical and vocational education, basic education, teacher education, the most critical areas for a developing society. By 2020, education expenditure had increased to approximately 4.6% of GDP, which was the level in Thailand in 2009. So after the liberalization period, there was clear progress being made in quite a lot of areas. By comparison, just so that you're aware of it, Vietnam putting in 5.8% of its GDP into education, still relatively low. In Australia in the same year, that was 8.5%, and I think it's far too low in this country. So spending on schools is critical for society, it's critical for democratic participation, it's critical for the prospect of young people to find jobs, to identify citizenship, citizens of a united country. And World Bank data on all of this, which I can't go through now, shows this progress had been really quite significant. We can see it now in retrospect because of how dramatically it's been interrupted. So I just want to finish by saying I think that it's really impressive and in fact even extraordinary that it's possible for the NUG to be able to be doing the kind of planning work post restoration of democracy that they have been doing, and we will certainly commit our support to you for that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe. Could I ask Professor Zaw Wai Soe and Professor Yanko to come close to the podium here? And these talks are now open for discussion. So I invite anyone who would like to ask a question or make a comment to do so. I'm not quite sure what the capacity of the microphones is. The people online have complained, but hopefully we'll be able to hear people in the room if they would like to talk. Maybe while we're waiting, I could just ask Professor Zaw Wai Soe the first question about exactly what you're talking about, the responsiveness of the new educational system to the needs of local communities. I know that your primary area of work, like mine, is healthcare, and education for healthcare involves responding to the problems that people in local communities have, and they will vary across the country. So we wouldn't be looking at a single national curriculum. We would be looking at a responsiveness to what local people want in terms of health issues, in terms of cultural needs, and so on. I wonder if you can just give us a little bit of guidance about how you're responding to that particular challenge?
Thank you very much for your question. Actually, there's a lot of the area that we need to have decentralization and then local needs, like that's why in the federalism we have to think of how much power you're going to get in the ground people, local people, and like something like thinking for the healthcare, they would like to own the healthcare system themselves. In the Karen and Kachin, and they would like to own. That's why I think they would like to have own capacity of human resource development and then healthcare system, all these things that they would like to. And that's why based on that we have to plan for the federal health policy and federal education policy the same. And that is the area. And a lot challenging because we develop with a centralized system. That's why we don't have that much experience. And then people on ground, they want more. And this is the challenge that we are facing. And that's why that is the area that we need to get support from you. To develop the education and healthcare system. And something like to answer your question, now there's a lot of challenges when we develop the medical school in the Kachin area and Karenni area. Actually, they don't have that much capacity, and we have to share with the people from the central system, and then also nursing program the same, and that we have to, and also like immunization, and then immunization capacity of immunization body and management and all these things in the ground local area. They don't have that much capacity, and we need to develop that capacity for the development of the future. I don't know. Is it you up for that question?
Yeah,
or,
no,
is it
that's lovely. Thank
Yeah.
you. And Joe, if you wanted to comment to doing search, I think you had a question. You want to come out here because the microphone's not very good. And talk loudly.
This mic might work.
Thank you.
Room mics are on, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Room mics are
Yeah,
on. so
please,
it should
please
be okay.
go ahead with your question.
Yeah, and Andrew Cochrane's my name, a surgeon here in Melbourne. Zaw, I think we met a couple of times in 2017 and 2019 when I visited for surgical teaching. Look, I've got one question which is political and the other question about hospitals. And firstly, I'd say, that the National Unity Government has made tremendous achievements in terms of being able to control the territory that they have and continue education. But I guess my question really is to the long term and where you see the end. And I know you said that we will win, meaning National Unity Government, but I guess it's very much like the question that keeps coming up with Ukraine. What's the end point? And obviously the military government has support from Russia, but from China as well. And unlike Ukraine, I don't see a large amount of billions of dollars of weapons coming from the US or UK or Europe for the National Unity Government. So where do you realistically see the end point? Is it a ceasefire and a partition of some sort? I mean, what's a realistic end point? Is Myanmar going to be divided in the end? What do you see?
Can we stop there and ask? So for the people in the question, do you want to just repeat the question?
Yeah, question is the how are you going to win, or how can you win? If you compare with the Ukraine, I guess we are having any support and weapon from the any country. We have zero support from international. But actually, we have 6 strategies. One is the people participation. People participation in our revolution is very high. You know, even all these, you know, ethnic, and then also all these, you know, diaspora, they support us. And last 2 years, we got a $200 million support from the diaspora. Don't ask me how they can send the money to Myanmar. And then, you know, and then also there's a support from the inside the people. That is, people participation is very high. And then number 2 is our unity among our ethnic group. We have never had that kind of unity in Myanmar. And that's maybe the same like the European Union, they are united because of the Russia. And then maybe the same in Myanmar, we are united to fight with the, and then third one is the military, I mean, our people defensive, I already mentioned. They have only 70,000 left now. And then to fight with the people defense forces. People defense forces, ethnic, they have about 300,000, and then we have 250,000. We are far, you know, higher than the military power. I mean, human resource and soldier. And also, recently, actually, I don't know, you know that we used a drone because I have aerodrome, rector or aerodrome. 2 rectors, we have 2 universities. They join the people, you know, our revolutionary program, and then they train, and then they invented. Within 2 years, they managed to develop the drone system, and then with that, actually, last week, actually, we bombed the Naypyidaw Air Force. You know, actually, this is a capital city, and then their air base. We use a drone. I mean, that is, I mean, a technology also help, and then IT help us. And then also recently, actually yesterday, we attacked the one of the air base, and then we destroyed the 2 planes. That is the way. I mean, also we are winning, and then on ground, and then now also we control a little bit of air. And 4th thing is the defection. There's a lot of defection in the military. Even some of the senior now cracking. Now we heard that because they have a problem with the financial management and corruption, and then inside them now there's a crack. And then last year we have 17,000 defected from the military side. They defected, and then they are now with us, and they are fighting back the military. And this is the one thing, you know, that we can get. And then the number 5 is financial. Because thank you very much. I mean, maybe not Australia, other US and you know EU, and then other countries like even Singapore, they freeze the money from the military side, and then Australia not yet. And then that's why I'm requesting to the Australian government. And then that helped a lot because compared with the previous coup, and then now they're having a lot of problem with the financial, and then also they don't have enough dollar to buy the equipments and things and maintain, and then also psychological welfare. I mean, to compete with, then we are winning. That is the reason. All these strategies we are winning. That's why we will win. But if we can get support from international, like Ukraine, we will win since yesterday. Thank you very much.
It's long advocated for freezing
Yes, please.
money to the regime, and will continue to do so. Yes.
Welcome to Melbourne. So, how safe would it be if visitors came to your central areas and taught or ran courses like I've done in the past in Myanmar for your organization? Would you be able to look after visiting teachers to help you get various programs up and running? Would that be safe for them and safe for you?
Question about safety, and Joe, you might like to.
Professor Zaw, you go
I
first.
think you should.
Yeah, no, you go first.
I would know that.
Safety for the teachers and then also healthcare workers. This is the, I think it maybe there's a paper about that. The most highest risky country to work for the healthcare worker in the world is Myanmar. Not safe. And then recently, I think not recently, actually, I already told you the midwife and then a paraplegic and then taking care and then they were killed, both patient and midwife. And also one of my nurse, she was raped and killed. And that is very horrible. But now because of we control the border area, especially border area, ethnic area, now actually we can cross the border. And I have sent some of the equipment across the border to the Karenni and Karen and then the Rakhine areas we have sent. And then relatively better than before. And then they working there. Relatively stay, we have to have alarm system for the warning system for the air raid and air attack. And that not safe. And also, this is our situation in Myanmar. Some of the people they are working with the military. They have two groups. One group is actually neutral group, and then because of the fairness, and then because of the atrocity, and then they worry about their family and then their property. That's why they are working with military. They don't want to work, but they are working with military. And then the other group, very small group, they are working with military for the military, and then they are the people who are risking, because if they inform the people who are working with the NUG, they inform the military, and then military, come and arrest them or something like that. Also having a problem in here. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Minister. My name is Ko Salzman from Myanmar diaspora. Earlier, you mentioned that I'm also a member of the CRPH NUG support group. You mentioned that 50% of the land controlled by the NUG, National Unity Government, and also the NUG government's trying to build their schools and hospitals and over 5,000 schools under NUG management. But obviously, the country is, as you mentioned, still in danger because of the especially airstrike from the military forces. In the practical solution from international community, how Australian can support to stopping with these like aviation fuels and so on? How can we support to the Australian side can support the NUG?
That we have been asking, and then also since very beginning of the revolution, targeted sanction from the Australian government. Not yet. Actually, they still continue, I think, buying the teak from Myanmar. Myanmar all the money goes to the military. And then also mining, they have some relationship with the Myanmar government before. NLD government, but see they continue, that means they give money to the military. That money they use to kill the people of Myanmar. And then also that I would like to request to the Australian government. And also I already told you about the financial restriction and then control to the military, like in the Singapore UOB Bank, they freeze the money of all the military people, and then that helped a lot. And the same thing, I think Australian government and then Australian bank and then Australian they can do it, and then that we have a lot. And also there's many people, they are list of the blacklist and sanction, but Australian government not doing the very, strictly. And also they're doing specifically that they need to do a lot. And then also that we help a lot to us. And this is the where you can make pressure on the military. And also you need to consider, because Australian have a support to Myanmar through the multi-donor program and global program like a UNICEF and then WHO and then a World Food Program and things like that. But they go through the military, and then that not reach to the people who need it, and then who are in the conflict area. And then they use that all these humanitarian aid as a weapon. They weaponize because they give message to the ethnic revolutionary organization. If they want to have all these humanitarian aid, they have to talk with them. They take the political bargaining with that, and then they use it as a weapon. And also that's why I have been asking to the Australian government to consider coordinated support with the our regional and also within the Australian humanitarian aid organization through the cross the border or country program like Myanmar country program, and then also EMI. Thank you very much. Maybe I.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, yeah. We met two days ago on the OFP fundraising program. We talked about the TB link, and I asked a question. That was me. Right, yeah. So I moved from Singapore like 7 years ago. So I studied there, and Singapore is my second home. I stayed there for like almost 20 years. I've got a lot of PhD friends assisting the education program for the program. And now we are pleading Australia to guide us and help us to reform our education. But that is after we win the war. But during the process, right, it might take like another 1 year or 2 years. We don't know yet. So the dilemma in the country is that at the beginning of the coup, people refused to go and enroll school at all because they don't want to study under military system. But after 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, 16 months, 18 months, parents got pressure. They cannot choose to not send their kids to school, so they have to make a choice whether are you friend or are you foe. So if you go and enroll your kids to the school, you become foe. But from the revolutionary side, but if you enroll your kids to the friends, military will say, okay, you're from us. So that it's quite a tough choice. But eventually, a lot of people, they have to go and enroll. But we know that NUG has an initial program to teach them online, and I assist that program as well with a lot of my friends from Singapore. But because NUG has a lot of things on the plate, so we have to open the front at many fronts. So we are fighting war at many fronts. So my question is, right now, it might take 1 or 2 years or 3 years in the meantime. Do we have any plan or program to continue the education of the kids back in Myanmar if they choose not to enroll until now? But if so, how Australia or how international can help? Because right now, with those online education and everything, a lot of things can learn online outside of the curriculum as well. Yeah, so that is the theoretical and the practical question as well.
Okay, thank you. I'll just say it's nearly 7 o'clock. I understand we can go for another 10 minutes. And so I will ask people to continue asking questions, but if you can keep your questions brief so we can have as many as possible.
Yeah, and then also online, and then we can have email. Thank you very much. Yeah, yes, you are right. And then that's why we make a statement or request to the people on ground because this is a right to education. That's why we never ask them not to go to the school, and then you get education. And this is one thing. And the second thing is the online education. We developed the because of the COVID-19 and because of the military coup, we started with the home-based, community-based education. And then we developed the online, all these, material and digital material and electronic and online program that we developed. And then with that, actually they learn. And also we developed the online school. And then you've been helping. But problem is the safety, because all the internet, we use the internet in the, especially in the middle of the Myanmar area, Yangon, Mandalay, and Naypyidaw, and then this area, we have to have internet access from the military control internet access. That's why we're having a lot of problems with the safety of the online education. And then that is the reason if you can international, I've been requesting that we need internet access, own internet access, or maybe internet access support from the international, like satellite or now like Starlink. If we can have our own Starlink internet access, and we can have a safe online education program, and then that will be a lot helpful to us. And also, maybe you already have experience when you are in the COVID-19. I think you developed an online material education things. This is the area I think Australia can help. Thank you. And then also
Thank you.
money. Yes.
Now we have a question for Joe about the respective role of elites and local communities in developing educational curricula and programs more generally. Joe, would you like to comment on the question of the role of the elites in designing a new sort of complex federal system?
If we could just read it again. It's a complex question and an interesting one. I just would like to say that Dr. Tang Nguyen, who's worked with the NUG, has developed through the National Network for Education Reform, I think the term he uses is critical disposition, or an approach to citizenship, which is, military dictatorships invariably want to teach students in a way that makes them accept authoritarianism, makes them docile. There's a long history of this, especially in colonial situations. And education for reform that allows people to develop critical ideas and to understand how power operates in society begins from local awareness of how power operates. And I think this question is pointing to that, and it makes mention of the Arab Spring and democratic backsliding and mentions Tunisia. So I think the point is going to this same space. And I just would like to say to whoever asked the question that there are people in Myanmar who've thought very carefully about the way in which curriculum reform, it wasn't really taken up in the previous system that much in the National Strategy for Education policy, the plan for 10 years, but there is a strong awareness of this need for building in a critical awareness of society and participation and stuff like that. So I think it's actually being absorbed within the NUG framework.
Actually, thank you very much. I think in history, curriculum,
Yes, exactly.
in the history, actually, our history is distorted. And then in the history, because of focus on the Burma, focus history, but all the ethnic group, they have to learn that history. Is and then also history, because of the history more on the side of the military type, history and things. That's why, and then also socialism, and then Burma majority control, and that's why now we stop teaching the history that we have curriculum that we have before. We stopped it, and now we are developing new curriculum for the history, teaching.
I had a related question, just a bit of a follow-up to that. which is about the educational system that you will need to develop after the victory. You're looking well ahead, of course, but the tasks then will be very different. They will be not just federalism and democracy and justice, but also peace and a broader sense of social solidarity. So in a sense, the educational objectives will be different and maybe in some respects even reversed. I wonder if both of you could comment briefly on that challenge and how you will respond to it.
Well, it's a great question. One of the things that federal systems struggle with, of course, is coordination and efficiency and a sense of cohesion across geographic space. And the risk with too much federalism, I won't mention the countries involved, but I think there are several societies today that are suffering with extreme levels of decentralization, is a loss of inter-ethnic communication. And that's something that all societies need to avoid. But I think the curriculum designs in the past were very well aware, the reform ones, very well aware of this, so that the curriculum is designed to have about 60% union-oriented and the rest of it around identity in local areas and communication across ethnic differences, peace building, shared citizenship, and collective contribution to the economy. This kind of image was already definitely part, I'm not sure if I'm answering the precise question you asked, but it's definitely part of the concept that we had through the curriculum education review process. Of course, none of it's being implemented now, we know. But the basis of that and the understanding of it and the training of hundreds of people in delivering training to other people is there. There's a workforce of people who understand these concepts and now are much more committed to them than they were before. And so, you know, the process of decentralizing and creating a federal system is partly to establish the efficiency of delivery of things, but it also builds a new consciousness of how you belong to the country. And I think that that's something that is really all still to be explored.
Yeah, I think, thank you very much. Education is the most important part of the reform. And then also, Joe, you have been, trying to have support to the Myanmar reform. And then that not waste. Because of that reform, our, 2021 Spring Revolution, we got success. With that, education, I think education of the Generation Z. And then that is the reason now we are winning. And then also we know the federalism and the democracy and then social and all these things that have a lot. And the same in future, I think education is the most important part of the country and then also our system. This is not regime change, this is system change and mindset change. For that, education is the key component of the future country. Thank you very much.
Yes, Frank. I think this might be the last question, but do you want to ask a question?
I'm going to ask a very simple question, addressed to Joe first, because I grew up in the previous era under socialist government, authoritarian system, organized system, where even in the post-independent years, Premier Unu or Prime Minister Unu wanted to adopt the state religion, Buddhism as a state religion. I'm a Buddhist myself, Buddhist majority. I didn't agree with it. But I like your idea of the mother tongue-based education. I cannot just envision in my mind how you can get it implemented in the complex federal state in the future democratic societies. Mother tongue-based education to be incorporated in the total system of the whole country. I'm just giving you a bit of insight into it.
Well, there are many models for this in Southeast Asia already. There's a group based in Bangkok that does this work that we've actually got a book coming out reasonably soon that different countries in the region and how it develops. And it's very clear that there are many different models. The one that would be most appropriate to Myanmar will be mother tongue based multilingual education. It will involve initial literacy in mother tongues where those languages have writing systems. In some cases they don't. With the introduction of Myanmar language as a subject going alongside it, and then by year 3, a transfer of significant learning into Burmese, and then the introduction of English delayed to junior secondary level. But that's kind of what we might call a paradigmatic model. It wouldn't actually apply exactly the same way everywhere because it depends on the local linguistic demography, depending on how many languages, whether there are concentrations of students or they're mixed in particular schools. But for all of those different situations, we've modeled responses, and there was already a very complex plan for how this would operate. I think it will be extremely important for there to be a lot of research on this in the post-coup period to build a new system, because it's just not going to be able to be what was envisaged 5 years ago, because already things will have changed. But definitely we know more or less how it would work, how it's implemented, where it's been done in the world and where it's succeeded, and what the limits of it are as well.
It's a question to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I don't have answer, but what I was thinking, actually, I already discussed with the Joe. You remember when we had I think a meeting, a seminar. Actually, Joe is our consultant and then also advisor in our Ministry of Education now, and then we together with the Professor Zaw. Yeah, I think in Australia you have experience. You have multi-culture and multi-language, and then you have experience. I mean, also that we can apply. What I was thinking, and then another thing, technology. Now, I think in future with your class, you can translate everything with your class, and then you with your technology, and then IT. I think that will come up in future. I think that's why I have been asking Joe, please consider IT technology, and then language system, mother tongue, together innovation, and for the future country. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll have to leave it there. I'd like to thank our speakers, Professor Joe. Thank you so much for your very insightful comments, and Professor Zaw, it's an honour and an inspiration to host you here. With such, I'm sure everyone will agree that with such courage, vision, imagination, generosity, there's no other possibility but that we will win. So thank you. Professor Raymond Tintway, the Vice President of the Australian Myanmar Institute, to make a small presentation to Professor Zaw.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Photo, please. Because otherwise. Yeah.
Thank you. We will close the presentation here. Thank you everyone for attending, and we will notify you about our next seminar. Thank you.